Hi, my name is Father Casey Cole, and in my line of work, I encounter a lot of people trying to figure out what it all means. What's my purpose? What does God want me to do? If you find yourself wondering the same thing, have no fear. The answer might be 3 easy questions away. The first question I always invite people to discern is simply, what do you love? Now, it's important to understand what I mean by this. I'm talking about love, not love. I'm talking about that feeling inside that motivates you to do extraordinary things, that gets you out of bed in the morning and keeps you up at night. It's the thing that makes you more selfless, overcomes fears, and draws you closer to others. I think about what St. Paul says about love. It's patient and kind. It's not jealous nor pompous, not inflated nor rude, doesn't seek its own interests. It's not quick-tempered, nor does it brood over injuries, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Is there something in your life that makes you more like that? Something that transforms you into a better person, that brings the best out of you? People always ask me how I knew that I was in the right place with the Friars. It's easy. I wake up every morning full of joy. Not happiness, not comfort. Don't misunderstand what I mean. This is not a fleeting feeling or emotion. What I mean is that I have a sense of belonging, a sense of life and purpose, even when things are going badly. I may not be happy, and trust me, I'm not a morning person. I'm never happy in the morning. But I am joyful. There's this sense of love inside me that says that I'd rather struggle here than be happy somewhere else. I tell you, if you find that, if you find something, someone, a hobby, career, place, whatever, that bears that sort of fruit in your life, that makes you a better person, it's not a coincidence. Don't ignore it. It's in those moments, I believe, that we experience the very presence of God. For what do we always say? God is love. It only follows then that when we find true love in our life, we're finding God. God draws us to Himself with inspiration. He gives us things that are good, beautiful, and true, compelling us with love so that we might fall in love with Him, the source of all goodness, beauty, and truth. And so I ask you, what do you love? Answer that question, and you'll find God calling you to Himself. Of course, maybe you haven't found true love in life yet, or maybe you love too many things to know what to do. In that case, I ask you a second question. What are you good at? At first, this might be a difficult question for some. We're trained in our world to diminish our skills, to demean ourselves so as to not to appear arrogant or self-involved. To compliment ourselves is to exalt ourselves, and no one wants that. But let's reframe the question a bit. Rather than what are you good at, a product of your own doing, ask yourself, in what ways has God blessed me with skills and talents? Much of who we are is the result of a lifetime of hard work and practice, and that's certainly important. But there's still something deep inside of us, something that we did not earn and did not create, special abilities that make us who we are. These, I would contend, have nothing to do with us and everything to do with God. And so if we accept this premise that God gifts us with certain skills and talents, we might be left to wonder why. Are they for my glory, so that I can get on the cover of magazines and win awards, so everyone can tell me how special I am? Or are they for God's glory, to show off the amazing power of our God to work even through us? Reframed in this way, I believe our question changes from an opportunity for vanity and arrogance to an opportunity for vocation. God gives us certain things, not to hide them under a bushel basket, but to share them with the world. And so I ask you, what are you good at? Answer that question, and you'll find God calling you to Himself. Of course, if the true question at hand is of finding our calling, of understanding what God's will is for us, then it's not sufficient to look merely within ourselves. Taken in isolation, these 2 questions might lead us merely to what is comfortable and familiar, to the thing that we want. A calling, by definition, draws us outside of ourselves to what God wants. And so there is a final question we must ponder. What does the world need? One of the saddest realities of many Christians in the West is that we have relegated our faith to a private, individual status. It's about me and God, about personal prayer, about working out my salvation. As a result, faith has a tendency to become disconnected from action. What Jesus came to bring was not a set of doctrines or principles, intellectual exercises to attend to on our own. No, he came to inaugurate the kingdom, to announce the inbreaking of heaven in our world, so that we, as a people, might take up his mission of building it with him. As much as we might like to hide in the back, and boy do we Catholics love that last pew of the church, Jesus does not want us to be passive observers of his mission. It's not something simply done for us. We are to stand with him, continuing ourselves what he started. In asking ourselves what the world needs, what we are doing is taking on the role of the prophet, holding in one hand the image of the perfect kingdom, a place of love and mercy, peace and justice, and the other, the world as it is, asking ourselves what's the difference between these two? What needs to change? By far the most important question we can ask ourselves, the answer we come up with inserts us into the very mission of Christ. Whereas the other questions give us a place of rest and comfort, keeping us within ourselves, and that's great. This question gives us an undeniable sense of duty and direction outside of ourselves. We may not like the answer at first. It may not be something we feel particularly equipped to do, but I know that when we answer it, we're walking in the right direction. And so I ask you, what does the world need? Answer that question, and you will most certainly find God calling you to himself. Put all three of these questions together, finding something that satisfies all three questions. What do I love? What am I good at? And what does the world need? And you've got yourself a calling from God. In which case, I have just one final question for you. When you find that thing, when you come to an answer that satisfies all three questions, will you say yes?